Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. It is going to be an awesome show tonight. Tonight we have Nikki Zephier, and she is the daughter of Chief Golden Light Eagle. We're going to be talking star knowledge, star nation, just everything that goes with that, the extraterrestrial presence, just that and a lot more. Make sure you don't go anywhere. She'll be with us for hours 1 and 2 tonight. Then we'll be getting into the After Hours wrap-up with Drew Banke. Also, Steve Stockton Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries tonight as well. It's going to be a fun show. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere tonight. Like I said, bring a friend. Definitely bring a friend. Let's see who has joined us here tonight. And courtesy of Race Fan, looks like the medal positions, we're looking at Kitty Catty Whack with the gold tonight. We are looking at Race Fan with the silver. And then we have T-Bone with the bronze. Definitely thank you for coming on in, especially coming in as early as you guys do. So shout out to Kitty Catty Whack. Thanks for coming in. Race Fan as well. T-Bone coming in saying, amazing guest, Mr. Rob G. Should be awesome. Can't wait to get into the conversation. And you know, we're all about knowledge here. So hopefully we'll be learning something really good tonight. Also, Ethanol, thanks for coming in. Good evening. Looking forward to the show. Is me as well, Ethanol. Lars Jansen saying good morning to all. Good morning, Lars Jansen. Thanks for coming on in. Little Cam 51 in the building. How you doing? Thanks for coming in, Little Cam 51. Also, Traveling Light saying love Nikki. That's what I'm talking about. Show some love tonight. Hit the like button as well if you wouldn't mind, guys. Who else do we have? Jennifer in the building saying, sup, y'all. Sup, Jennifer. Thanks for coming on in tonight. Audacious Amber with the wavy hand emoji. Thanks for coming on in tonight. Appreciate you showing on up here to the After Hours radio show. Kathy Evans as well. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you coming into the building. Mel WD-40. You already know what his job is, getting us lubed up and ready to get into the show as he does so well. Appreciate you coming on in, Mel. And Joanne, thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing up tonight, showing your support and love for the show. Who else do we have? Sierra is in the building. Hi, Sierra. Thanks for coming in. Mark Eddy is here. Mark Eddy, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing on up. Hi, Rob and Roomies. It's gonna be a great show. Can't wait to go ahead and get into it. We're gonna go ahead and start the podcast side of this right about now. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Tonight is going to be an awesome show. We have Nikki Zephier, who is the daughter of Chief Golden Light Eagle, and definitely a lot of spiritual stuff going on here. The Star Nation, Star Knowledge, the implications of who we are as human beings, and what does this all mean, right? Let's try to talk about that. Maybe we'll get some answers here tonight as well. Can't wait to get into the show. She'll be joining us hours 1 and 2. Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up in hour 3, along with Steve Stockton Tells Untold Person Mysteries. Like I said before, it should be a great show, jam packed. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. It's going to be awesome. Let's start the radio side right about now. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight, we're broadcasting on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Don't forget, you can access our archives for absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram @SpacedOutRadio and @SpacedOutRadio Show. Our website, which is getting better, is SpacedOutRadio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, you can rock out to the man here right there, Mr. Ron Bomafathal, and so much more. Going to be a fantastic show tonight. As I said, for thrice, Nikki Zephier is joining us tonight, daughter of Chief Golden Light Eagle, and this is with the Yankton Sioux tribe. It's going to be awesome as they talk Star Nation, Star Knowledge, and totally interested in hearing that. And you know how I feel about our connection to the natives and my desire to reconnect as well. So it's going to be awesome conversation for hours 1 and 2. Also, we have Drew Banky, the After Hours wrap up, and Steve Stockton Tells Untold Person Mysteries for hour 3. Jam-packed show. One more time. Make sure you bring someone in tonight so we can go ahead and have a great show like we always do. And we're going to go ahead and get ready to just jump right on into the conversation, because that is what we do right here on the After Hours radio show. So without further delay, let's go ahead and bring up our guest for the night. Her name is Nikki Zephier. There she is, under Elk Woman. And yeah, definitely intrigued in learning about, Star Knowledge, Star Nation, your father. And I kind of want to start this interview, as we always do, getting to know who you are. So kind of let's talk about you. Let's talk about your father's importance, what he meant to this, community and the subject in particular. And let's go ahead and pick it up, go from there.
So your opening actually already started me emotional and crying.
That is okay. Please put it all up tonight.
So yeah, my dad started the Star Knowledge conferences because of some symbols that were found on a bar by Dr. Richard Boylan. And my dad had asked a nephew of mine, Galen Drapple Jr., to have ceremony to interpret the symbols. And that involved a lot of people and a lot of time to do that. And so the first Star Knowledge conference, he said, it was a test, and that you can find on YouTube too under ET Origins. And he had a lot of scientists and ufologists and people that talked about angels, and a lot of people have passed on now that were actually there, other than Giorgio Bon Giovanni attended, and he's still alive, and Dr. Richard Boylan, and people with the crystal skulls and just so much, sharing. So all of this has been shared for a really long time.
And as you go through, you know, bringing everyone up to speed and introducing them to your father's legacy and the legacy that you carry on to this day, which is, it's a big thing. It's a big thing to kind of take on the initiative to pick that up and continue it. So awesome, and bravo to you for doing that. I know you sent over some photos as well. Do you want to go ahead? Do you want me to go ahead and share those right now as
Yeah,
you
sure.
talk about this? Okay, great. So for the radio audience, we'll be showing photos of her father, Chief Golden Light Eagle, and also some flyers showing the dates of this conference. So we'll kind of let you know as we go through this presentation. We'll let you know what we're looking at. And let me go ahead and bring that up here. So one of the biggest things, what was, as I bring this up, what was one of the most important messages that your father stood on or presented when bringing this to the masses?
Um, Simple. To stay in your heart. To stay in your heart. You can feel it. No big ego. Just, loving people no matter what. And, a lot of it was watching him, what he did, and, that everything happened for a reason. And everybody has to, are on different levels, and yeah, pretty much stay in your heart.
Yeah, and that seems to be, the loving message that humanity should be sharing, and it's one that I hear a lot coming from the tribes. Is I spoke to Jim White with the Santee Dakota Nation, and even Travis Moostus, who's from up north in Canada, and this seems to be the common message. This was something that you sent me here, and I read it, and I know this has some deeper meaning to it. So if you wouldn't mind reading this, maybe, and explaining to everyone how this connects to what we're talking about tonight.
So the first one is 1111. It's a book, and I should have grabbed them. Actually, they're right here. I gotta take these to Ohio. The first one is 1111. It's the Makawi Chakbi Wichoka book. It's the universal and spiritual laws. So universal is feminine and spiritual is masculine. So when you look at the symbols and then you reverse them, this is a whole ton of books, then they have different meanings to them. And also with the peace symbol, he said was upside down. That's why there was no peace.
Okay.
So that 1111, this is that book. Then there's the 1212 book. The Iktomi, that's the spider. So Star Spider Ways is the alignment. And then the 1313 book are the laws of peace.
All right. And how do you, when you look around, and I guess let us know where was he doing these teachings? Was it just within the tribe, or did he, speak to everyone about this, or kind of how did he approach this?
So he started it here, actually at the school where I work. At Wagner Community School. So you can find that on the another video that I sent you. No, I didn't. I didn't send it to you. He started that at the school where I work. And I think that was a 4-day conference with everybody there. And it was in the gym. And I remember that I was 11 at the time. And he said that first one was a test. So he had to go and ask elders if it was okay to share everything. And they said, yeah, because some people call it magic, some people, spiritual and science, it's all the same.
There's a lot of people use the term within our community, star children, star beings, and I have really I can't say either way, and that's why I'm going to lean on you for this. Is this the same as when we talk about star knowledge and star nation? Are we like in the same realm as far as like what people feel, when they say star beings or, star children? Are we talking the same thing?
You're talking about yourself.
Mm.
You're talking about everybody, you know. So everything gets handed down. And the other thing he talked about was, that we forgot. And why did we forget? Why do we have to remember? And some people already know and talk about it, and they get called crazy. So we know deep down inside, and it's really hard for some of us to say. And it's been taught this whole time, so none of it is a secret.
So
But
talk
yeah, we're
when
what?
he says that we have forgotten. So what does he mean exactly by that? Because I know, within the tribe, the traditional way, and hopefully I'm saying this right, but the traditional way of life, you have a breakaway, like the younger kids who are doing more of the getting into pop culture and getting away from the teachings, right? Is he talking about those groups, or is he talking about humanity in general, or both?
I'm thinking humanity. And I'm thinking humanity, to where, I guess we have to learn eventually. And it comes back to us. And through me, it came back by losing both my mom and then my dad, and a miscarriage. And then songs and videos started popping up on my phone out of nowhere. And then deep down, like, who am I? I have to be somebody.
Mhm.
And thinking, so finding Drew and finding Laura Eisenhower and Daniel Brinkley and Terry and Linda, everything made sense. And there
Okay,
it's
okay.
it's really magical.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're comfortable talking about that, but did you find yourself in that boat that he was talking about, kind of disconnected and needed that reconnection? Is that kind of where you found yourself in that moment?
I don't, it's hard to explain. um Not really. So my dad used to take, I don't know if they were naps, but he must have went into, um, like other people call them meditation. He channeled, and all of that is on YouTube too. So when he said, "I am whoever," what I can say, "I am Maitreya," the light would flicker, and he would start talking and giving messages. And with me, it's different. With everybody, it's different. And like Nike, Nike just does it. That's kind of like me. I'm just a doer. I'm a thinker, and I just have to do things. And I could never. Well, I could stop, and then I'd fall asleep. But until I learned, and people told me eventually that we're part of energy, and we move energy. So I'm like, well, that's why I have to keep moving, and I have to drive fast and and not get pulled over. But understanding that and seeing it and feeling it and seeing the good in people, and you know people start to see that and hopefully learn from that.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I'm being introduced to you and to your father's work, because his message of us being lost is something that and Drew will tell you. This is something that I bring up all the time, and it's like and I always talk about my need to reconnect with the child. And I haven't, I just know that we are all derived from some sort of indigenous sort of tribe, whether it's here in the North America or wherever it is in the world. We've all derived from some sort of, and it's all about reconnecting, because I feel like the answers to a lot of the questions that we have about this world and about what's currently going on, we can find there. You talked about, discovering or running into people like Drew Banky, who was our after hours wrap up guy, and also a real spiritual dude, and he's into a lot of good stuff. Lauren Eisenhower. So you're talking about a lot of enlightened minds. And so when you found this group, like, what did it do for you? What was the what did you find once you kind of involved yourself with these groups?
Like is like like finding family, like all the stars in the sky that, they're not all bunched together, but knowing, I don't know, you can feel them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like finding family. And when you said, you need to, how did you say it? Reconnect.
Yeah.
It's like like charging your phone. You like charging yourself.
So do you feel, do you feel a lot of pressure on you kind of picking up your father's legacy? Because he was, he was on the definitely the right path, the path that I see we all should be on. And do you feel like a burden kind of having to take that on, or just a lot of weight on your shoulders? How does that make you feel?
No, wait, it's actually fun.
Yeah.
So my dad had 13 kids.
Wow.
Some who I haven't met yet, but all that's another story. But asking, hey, do you want to take this on? Asking the older siblings, and they said no. What do you do? I'm like, I don't know. Talk to people, um, manage people, go places, travel, and not understanding what really has to happen. So I did it with help of Linda Ivory and Alan and Terry and everybody else who jumped on board, and um, past people who came to conferences, and just knowing, I couldn't just stop. And so I had to pick up a couple more jobs to continue it and get all the rooms and get people here. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad that was your answer, because I think and I'm glad you also talked about your other siblings and then the older ones, right? Because you would think in just a normal situation, okay, the oldest, I'm going to take this on, but it's not about, that's not really a decision to make. It's more so the one that's led into carrying that on. It sounds like that was you, and it sounds like when it comes like that, then it ends up being something that doesn't feel burdenous, or it just feels like something that you were destined to do. And I know that you're kind of fresh to this, because I know your father recently passed in the last 4 years. So obviously want to send my condolences and healing energies out to you for that, because I can only imagine, how that feels. And but carrying on a legacy, kind of naturally grabbing it and then going with it. So where do you find yourself now? Like what types of things are you out there doing to push this to the masses?
Showing up.
Just showing, that's half of
um, yeah. So actually, right before Drew messaged me today, I listened to reels, and it was about manifesting and um, making it happen faster. And we, the idea was to be on podcasts, actually, like, I don't even know, Spotify or other things. And we do have a patreon.com. There's starknowledge1111.com. I had 4 websites, but just making it grow uh, more, so more audience. And then Drew pops up. Hey, do you want to be on a podcast? And I said, what time? So, yeah, so what happens? It
Stars
happens. You think
align.
about it. Yeah.
That's now you're talking Drew's language there. I know that. I know that I talked to him a lot. That's Drew. The influence of Drew, which is a good influence, never a bad influence. Drew is a great guy, and he's spiritually where I think a lot of people should be. So he's definitely a good person to be friends with.
Mm-hmm.
Also, looking into this because the whole idea is getting this message to the masses. So when you look at humanity currently, the way that it is, what do you think, or how do you think star knowledge can assist in changing what it is that we're all dealing with in this world right now?
Um, my dad would say, um, that's how you feed the fire. So if you're going to feed it negativity, you're going to get negativity back. When you talk about all the positive stuff, you can feel it. And so changing that, people's mindsets and not really paying attention. Well, I don't pay attention to the news. It does do things that make you happy. Say things that make you happy, even if you are having a bad day or you don't feel good. Say, hey, I feel good, or it's gonna be a good day. And knowing whatever happens that day, it's only gonna make you stronger or smarter, or I guess getting our kids and grandkids and other adults to start to see that and believe it.
So I have a picture of your father on the screen for the radio audience. A picture of the chief on the screen right now, and what was his outlook or perspective of what these extraterrestrials are? Did he ever talk about having any sort of experience during ceremonies or even outside of ceremonies with something that we would consider extraterrestrials?
Yep. So he was, I don't know if he was beamed. I think it was Cheyenne, Wyoming, or Colorado. And he taught everything is on YouTube. If you Google or YouTube Chief Golden Light Eagle or Lauren Zephier, everything is on there. Um, he went in a ship and he said it was all white and he couldn't. He was more like amazed. Hey, I can hear you. They weren't moving their lips, but they were talking through to him through um, their minds.
Mm.
And I don't. In the video, I think he will tell you, he doesn't remember what they were saying. He's like, hey, I can hear you. And then that, I think he had to get back to my brother who was with him. He's passed on now too. And then going back to the house, and my brother said, hey, there's, a ship outside. And he said, I know, go to bed. So having witnesses see that, my dad telling the stories, and even when I was younger, I said something like, hey, I'm an alien. And my dad looked at my mom, and my mom hit me like, you can't say that. And then thinking back, yeah, it was probably true.
Yeah.
But, him saying that we are star people, and that we were born, I guess, 7 times a rock, 7 times a tree, 7 times a bird, 7 times a dog, so we were everything. We were a flower, we
Hey,
were,
hold that right there. We'll start.
oh,
We'll
yeah.
pick up that right after the break, right there where we left off. We're speaking to Nikki Zephier, daughter of Chief Golden Light Eagle of the Yankton Sioux. It's going to be an awesome conversation, guys. We're talking star knowledge, Star Nation. What does it all mean? Don't go anywhere. I think you want the answer to this. We'll be right back. All right, we are clear. We we're clear. So we're on a 5-minute break. Everyone can still see us and hear us right now. If you need to go grab anything or do anything, perfect time. Okay, I'll take you off camera for a moment. All right. And all right, guys. So definitely appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Let me go ahead and say hi to other people I did not get to yet. We have Boondock Mojo. Boondock Mojo, thanks for coming on in. And Joanne, love to have Mr. Rob G. Thank you very much. And Joanne, do appreciate you. Let's see. I got your question here, T Bone. And can we get questions in caps so I can see them? Because it was lucky I caught that one, T Bone, because it was in lowercase letters, but I just happened to see your question there and I did tag it. And let's see, what else do we have here? We have Squatchin' Holla 2023. I had RRs in the past. The old school stuff, RRs. It's not clicking for me right now. Pretty sure it will in a moment. Thanks for coming on in, Squatch and Holler. Let's see, Pyromedic. Roger, wouldn't you cramp the singles match what I just showed you? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see who else we have here. Thanks for coming in, Pyromedic. We go back here. Traveling Light. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing up tonight. Let's see. Who else do we have? Fast Timmy. Fast Timmy. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see here. T-Bone, the world forgot because we never learned from the indigenous. I think that it depends on how you look at that statement there, T-Bone, because I think we all derive from the indigenous. So at some point we all did know and we just forgot. You know, I don't think any of us started outside of indigenous groups. I think we all derive from that, and that just may be me. I don't know. But I do appreciate your comment here tonight. FAP, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate showing on up. Hey, SOR Weekend Group. That's right. You're at the After Hours Radio Show, which, by the way, if you're here for the first time, we do this every Saturday and Sunday night, 8 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific. So that is every single weekend. Also, we have Dave Scott with the Woo Train Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific until midnight. So 7 days a week. Also, Element 115. Can't forget that. Fridays, 8 p.m. Pacific until 9 p.m. Pacific. 7 days a week, you will find something going on right here at Spaced Out Radio. We'd appreciate if you consider coming back. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live, and then also consider subscribe. We would appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. And if I could say, I now use these breaks because once you get into conversation, you kind of get into it, and next thing you know, time has passed. But what I would love for you guys to do, anyone and everyone here, if you haven't already, let's just take a moment, step back, go out, either hit the like or dislike button, however you're feeling. But please do one or the other because it does help YouTube recognize the show and what it is that we're doing here on the After Hours Radio Show. So I definitely would appreciate that, guys, if you wouldn't mind. And you did excellent yesterday, by the way. So do appreciate that as well. Cool vibes. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate showing on up. Carolyn Mario, I see you out there as well. Let's see. Did I say Frankie B? I think I did, but I'm gonna say Frankie B again. Hey, Frankie B. Thanks for coming on in. Super Knower. Thanks for showing up. Hillbilly Herb. Thank you for coming in. Riff Nation. Ed Odell. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you, sir. As we get ready to come back here in just a moment from radio. Let's see. I do see questions, and I am tagging. Okay. I see a couple here. Well, you guys are getting them in early. I like that. Awesome stuff. Okay, great. Renee BK. Good morning, Rob, sir. Good morning, Renee. Thanks for coming in. Sun, checking the show out. Please do. It said we have an awesome time here all the time. Amber says she subscribed. Appreciate that. That is awesome. Round of applause for Amber Jones. Esquibel, thanks for showing up tonight as well. Tarnation, thanks for coming on in. Simply Coco, I see you out there. Thanks for coming in tonight. As we got 5 seconds before we come back from the show. And here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are totally back in the mix here with our guest, Nikki Zephier, who is the daughter of Chief Golden White Eagle, guys. Remember, if you missed any of the conversation tonight, you can jump right back into the archives. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio is absolutely free. Why wouldn't you do it? As we go ahead and jump right back into the conversation here. All right, Nikki. So we were kind of in the middle of a story that you were telling here, and you can go ahead and pick up. Do you recall where you were at?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yes, that's excellent. So if you could go ahead and pick up from there.
I turned my words from I forget to I remember. So yeah, he said that we were born 7 times one thing. So 7 times a flower, 7 times a tree, 7 times a black man, 7 times a white man, a native. So that's why everybody's feels a certain way towards people. I tend to stand my ground and support white people. I'm white. Or anybody. You know, I feel like I have to protect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, being Native, you know, going to ceremonies, you know, doing that while we were younger, you know, there is a way to do it. And I know a lot of different races get bashed on Facebook for doing it certain ways. And anyways, you know, learning that all over again and actually doing it and going to Sundance and Sweat Lodge and dancing and praying and seeing what happens those 4 days or 16 days, or 12 days. It's 4 days before to pray, 4 days to dance, and 4 days to, you know, get back with it. But having to work all the time, you know, gets hard, but it's worth it. So going up on the hill and, you know, you call it a vision quest. Also, you know, I thought I had to do certain things that other people do, you know, knowing that we don't have to. We don't have to take drugs. Like, you know, different ceremonies and taking different medicines, you know, knowing that, you know, I can be in a state of mind without any of that and feel in a different way. You know, I guess that's my opinion. But going on that vision quest, do what?
So do you mean like taking like the DMTs or the herb, like the sort of hallucinogens that you take during those vision quests? Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just going up there with nothing, and, you know, when we dance, you know, with no food and no water, you know, you're clearing your mind and body. You know, we're all made differently. So, you know, just understanding that and learning it, you'll see that we really just need each other, or, you know, nothing, pretty much.
I can agree with you. We definitely need each other, especially the way that this world is. So go ahead and bring your father back up here. I know we have a couple more photos. Explain to everybody what is this? What are we looking at here?
I can't remember her name. On the left, she was here. then me, then my dad, then Giorgio Bon Giovanni. So I don't remember taking the picture at all. That's in our gym at Wagner School. So Giorgio bled from his feet, his hands, his forehead, and I'm thinking other places. So yeah, that was in 96, obviously, or 97. And he contacted me 3 years ago while I was dancing. So while I was underneath the arbor, one of his interpreters, who my mom used to pick up I'm thinking to come to Sundance, came underneath the arbor and said, "Hey, Giorgio Bon Giovanni wants to talk to you." So I called him up and couldn't really understand what he was saying. Then I talked to his secretary, and it felt like family all over again, just even over the phone.
So let everyone know, because I'm also new to Giorgio Bon Giovanni. Can you explain to everyone who he is, what he's into, what he does, and then your interactions with him?
Yeah, so if you YouTube Giorgio Bon Giovanni, he started bleeding. I don't remember the year, and kind of like Jesus. So just another real life Jesus or angel, and he gets messages, and we go upstairs to his office and tells us things. So he's in a way kind of like my dad. He has his groups and he helps people. My dad had his groups and helped people, and Giorgio does the same. Does the same and different. But if you find another YouTube video that I'm on, if you fast forward it all the way to the end, he will say that he is just a messenger, and that my dad was the master of the ceremony, and Giorgio's just a messenger.
Okay. I like that. I like that, being a messenger. Because Jesus there's some big boots to fill when we talk about Jesus there. But I think what you're talking about, bleeding from the feet and hands, they call that stigmata, right? Isn't that
Stigmata, yeah.
stigmata? Okay. And yeah. So that's powerful. Depending, I would need to know the whole backstory on it, but just being looked at in that way, like I said, I'd have to look more into it. I don't know if you're able to explain a lot more of how that went, but I know you had a trip to Europe where you hung out with Giovanni. Or Giorgio, what was that about? Like, what did you do in that trip?
So I normally don't talk in front of people, and I didn't really know what to expect. I had to talk to a school. Our school is of 1,000 kids between preschool and in high school. Their school consisted of 3-year-olds on up to 12. And I'm thinking, I know there's a picture, but there might have been at least 20 kids. So we just talked and sang songs. And one of the songs that we sang was an Emmanuel song. And the older kids caught on to it real quick, like they already knew it. And one of them, connected with me a lot stronger. And he was actually from Spain. So when I was telling his mom that my son is 12 now, so when my son was 3, 4 years old, he would tell us that he remembered certain people, so we would introduce people to him, and he would say, "Oh, I remember them from the stars. I remember them from the clouds." And so years and years later, I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Whenever you say that. And he said, "Oh, I remember." So he told me a story. Anyway, I told this little boy in Italy about that, and the mom said that he remembers when he was born, or his past lives. He remembers his past lives. So these kids are starting to remember where they came from and can tell all these stories.
Wow. 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 Yeah. Let me ask you this. What if you were to look at some of the uh stories that have been passed down within your tribe, how do they compare to the stories that people tell today of UFO encounters or even abductions, things of that nature? Are there any stories that align that you're like, okay, that's got to be the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a ship like other people have. We finally seen a ship not too long ago, and they call it Elon Musk, and we know it wasn't because there was. Um, I have 5 kids, so it was me, my middle daughter, and my youngest who has seen it, and just getting excited because we know it's there. Um, Hearing the stories, it's like, ugh, I want to go on a ship. I want them to talk to me. I want, yeah, they all align. Obviously, they're not bad because nothing's happened. I remember having dreams that I used to have to hide in a closet because they were in the house or they were around our town where we lived. And I guess, I don't know if they were showing me, that they're here or not to be afraid because nothing ever happened.
And what are some of those stories? Because I think when we hear the stories, they usually come in the form of like an analogy almost. And it's like, okay, this was the story, but it translates into uh being abducted. Like I don't know if you know exactly what I mean when I say that.
When
Like
they probe you and poke you.
yeah, yeah, but then the story doesn't say probe and poke. So the story will say, you saw the horse spirit or the just in terms that they use within the tribes that then if you look at them deeply, those you can see how they translate into a story of poking and prodding. Like, do you have any specific stories that you could point to that translate into something like that?
No, nothing like that other than, seeing one of the listeners actually can tell you a story where they used to watch the lights follow the river down here because that's where we are. We're actually on a military base in the river. Um, but yeah, other than that, I don't know any stories from our tribe other than
What do you
that
think?
they're.
What do you think the significance of being near water is? Is there something there that you would be able to kind of connect the dots to? Because I've heard before, I've talked to once again Jim White of Santee Dakota Nation, and he talked about being on water as well. And maybe there's something to that. We know currently the big topic is USOs, UFOs underwater, and just looking historically through the teachings, water has usually been some point of reference when talking about star people or UFOs. Did you hear any of that, or is it what does water mean to you, or you know, in relevance to what it is we're talking about here?
Well, we are made of water. So if there's something inside of us as we're water, there has to be something underneath the ground or the hills. Everything is grown on top of each other. There has to be something underneath that water. There has to be. That's my thought.
Definitely. Now, let's see here. You said you haven't had any personal encounters with any type of UFOs, or have you had any paranormal things like spirits or anything like that that you could speak to?
Uh, So the UFO was a light far away and then came closer, at an angle. And, I pulled over the car, and a couple hours before that, we were at the mall, and I was telling friends of my dad's that I wanted to see a ship. So on the way home, I actually got lost. And anyway, so I seen this light, and I stopped, and it came closer and closer. And my daughter recorded it. And I said, "It's a ship." And she said, "I know." My youngest said, "Well, you told him you wanted to see a ship. Now you've seen a ship. Let's go." But just knowing that it was there, we went on Facebook, and everybody said it was Elon Musk. And knowing that it wasn't Elon Musk, it wasn't going anywhere. It stayed there, and then it disappeared. It didn't travel anywhere. And a couple more people that said no, it was a ship, and they said that they seen it looked like curtains closing on the inside. And I said, well, if it just disappeared, that means it's probably still there. So they're there. They're not doing anything.
And you're not wrong when you say Elon Musk, because he might be an alien. I mean, I'm still not sure about that myself. Him and Zuckerberg, they're just very, very weird when it comes to human as far as human beings go. So with that being said, yeah. So what is your perspective on the extraterrestrial presence? Because okay, so you had some sort of dealing. Like, have you even thought about why they are here? What their purpose is? Are they good or bad? Have you had any of these thoughts? And if so, what do you think?
No thoughts as to why. I mean, why are we here? Who has the right answer? Going to Italy, meeting Marco Marsili. He took us on this hill, showed us and told the story, that he was up there doing things. And, he voiced, show yourself to me, or, whatever. And he's seen, I don't remember if it was a ball of light, but he's seen the being. So my dad taught us, we don't call them aliens, we call them star beings or star people. But he's seen the star people come, and it changed his life. So he has the story. And he asked me, why me? Why me? I'm like, well, why not you? They have to show themselves to somebody, to make people believe. And so Marco has books and tells the stories too of them just being right there. So, becoming a believer because now he's seen them. You talked about, spiritual things. After my dad passed, or even before he passed, hearing his voice and hearing him, I'm wide awake laying there, and his voice, like he's in the room with me. He said, "Nikki, get up, get ready." So I didn't, say, "Hey, where are you?" I just came home, and I said, "All right, I got to get ready." That being 4 years ago. And then we did the funeral thing, and I had a group chat of 30 plus women, and I would tell them everything rather than, send 30 texts. I sent one text, and, I'd said, "I'm outside, I'm eating, I'm drinking water." They were a constant reminder to drink water because I really didn't. I'm outside in my swing, and you can see everything around me, but I felt a hand on my head. And so I stayed there for a little bit. And then I turned around because I figured it was somebody walking by, and not seeing anybody there. So I put that in the chat. Hey, I just felt the hand on my head. And, they all said, well, that was probably your dad. And, I thought, well, it could have been Bigfoot too. And so I told my neighbors, and they looked at each other, and they had seen Bigfoot actually in their by their bathroom that same day or night. So I'm like, okay, was it Bigfoot or was it my dad? But he said, they can enter in these dimensions or portals, and they talk about portals in Utah or portals in certain places, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Your thoughts on Bigfoot? What do you, and maybe even not just Bigfoot, but just anything else, any sort of what they call cryptids? Do you have any, or have you had any sort of dealings with any of those? I know they're talked about within the tribes. They have stories about certain type of creatures, Bigfoot being one of them. But are there any other ones that are mentioned, and do you have any personal experience there?
My mom has. So my mom passed 6 or 7 years ago. I think there was 3 of them down to Marty, where we used to live, where my mom used to live. I think it was on the road in front of the church. Bigfoot picked up one of their friends, and 2 of them left, and they never said anything. And years went by, and they finally seen each other, and they were finally going to talk about it. So she said, "Hey, do you remember when?" And the guy, I don't remember names, he said, "Yeah, you just left me." So he wasn't hurt. They all knew what happened, and I know there's other stories where we hear them, or they hear them, or we hear noises and know that it's not a bird or a rabbit, but they knock on the trees. So there's those stories.
Do you have? Do you believe, or maybe even your father? I don't know if he's ever talked to you about this. Is there any belief that certain individuals are chosen to have these experiences, or do you feel like these are experiences that anyone can have?
I think anybody can have them. Um, Again, another video that my dad had was, there's not one person chosen. So when you have these people saying, I'm white buffalo calf woman, there's not just one. It's everybody. There's not just one special person. Everybody's special. So everybody has their different experiences and thoughts, and they're going to have an experience, whether it's a dream or just knowing deep down inside.
What do you what is for? And I guess we don't have much time. We have like 1 minute before we go to the break, real quick. So if you can give a quick answer on this, what do you think the well, nah, I'm gonna have to say that because I think it will definitely take you past the break here. Real quick, just talk about your father's what he would say if he were here right now, standing behind you. What would he say about the purpose of star beings or purpose of star knowledge?
I don't know, to finally, I guess, know who we are, where we came from, what we can do.
Mm. I like that. I like that. Our potential as human beings, where we could go. It's like you talked about earlier, rediscovering or reconnecting, and it's all a great message. And I think that's the message that we should have here. So, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take a break right now at the bottom of the hour. Our guest here, Nikki Zephier, has been awesome so far tonight. Remember, if you missed any of this conversation, jump into the archives, youtube.com/ at Spaced Out Radio. If you're out there on the radio, we will be right back right after this break. Don't you go anywhere.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we are clear, and Nikki, we are off camera for 5 minutes, so I'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
All right. right, welcome back, Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show, After Hour number 2. We have about 30 seconds before we actually come back from break here. Let me go ahead and say hello to a few people out there. Let's see. Let me see. Who else? Anyone come in late? Who's late? Who's late?
No one's late. They're all on time. I was trying to keep up with questions, but
yep. Don't worry about it. We only do that on the breaks. So give me 1 second here. Hold up. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. With me, your host, Mr. Rob G, as we are back. We are back with our guest here, Nikki Zephier. She is giving awesome knowledge tonight is in regards to Star Nation, Star Knowledge, Star People, which I guess we are, right? So I guess we'll be talking more about that this hour. Also getting to your questions in the second hour right here, Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. Jumping right back in, we'll bring our guests back on stage, Nikki Zephier and Nikki. Okay, so we talked right at the end of the last hour for our radio audience, so they don't see the breaks here. We were talking about what would your father say if he was standing right behind you and he was giving a message. And I guess I can shift the question a little bit. Like, what would do? Has he ever at some point that you can point to, or that he's talked to you directly about the current state of humanity? I know you talked about reconnecting and things of that nature. Like, what would be his message? And I guess the message that you push when you go to these conferences and you speak, what is that message now that you push going forward?
Stay in your heart. I didn't talk to him about the conferences hardly ever. I watched him while he was at conferences because since I was 14, I've been working jobs at McDonald's, at the school, at a bait shop, at a gas station. So I was working and he was traveling. So he'd just tell me where he would have to be, whether it was California or Texas or other places. And sometimes he would let me know that he was on YouTube or whatever. So I would be at another job, watching him while he's on YouTube. It would be live. Knowing that he was working, I never really watched the conferences because I myself was busy. So when he came back, it was, either for my birthday or out to eat or July 4th for fireworks, so it was, happy to see him time or my son's basketball game. So we didn't really visit. So he didn't really tell me much other than we watched like David Blaine on TV or History Channel. So in other words, he talked to me through music or watching these shows.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I know I have the Star Knowledge, the conference here so go ahead and talk to this. What is this? What could be expected? And then what would you cover during this conference?
So first of all, thank you to Linda Ivory, who's followed and traveled with my dad for 28 years. And she come from California. So she creates my flyers there and she helps with the website and she understands and knows a lot more than I do. So I find the speakers and trust my gut and my heart. So you're going to see spiritual people. You're going to see our Sundance leader. You're going to see the chief. You're going to see Grandmother Silver Star, who worked with the symbols with my dad all them years. You're going to see Brad Olson. Other people that come from the conferences. You're going to see healers and amazing people. And
Well,
this year I'm bringing another medicine, which is, laughing. So laughing is a part of our medicine, is how we deal with things.
I do like that. I like that as well. And I want to read this off for the radio audience so they can see it. Let me bring it back up here. So, for the radio audience, this is the Star Knowledge Conference 2025, October 10th, 11th, and 12th of this year in Pickstown, South Dakota, in the Rainbow Room. Indigenous elders, wisdom keepers, and visionaries sharing ancient knowledge for the future of Mother Earth. Star Knowledge 1111.com is where you can find it and find more information on that. So make sure you guys, especially if you're in the area, why not go? Why not go? It should be an awesome experience, I would think. And Nikki's going to be there, so you can go ahead and shout around and say hello. Tell her you saw her right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. So, do you take time to speak there, or are you more just the organizer?
I'm just the organizer. I have so I'm mostly on my phone. I stream it live, so I have people watching live. I have my camera person, people. So I'm behind the scenes. I'm just working the magic and connecting the dots, like weaving the web.
Weaving the web. I like that. So, this is all, when we get into this and when we talk spirituality, we talk about consciousness. I don't know how deep you are into that. Well, I guess, with the group that you've connected with, when you talk about Drew Banke and Laura Eisenhower, you have to get into consciousness at that point, or at least have the conversation. What is your outlook on consciousness as far as it goes with human beings, and maybe even the connection that we may or may not have with these extraterrestrials, the star people, or whatever it is you want to call these guys?
I don't know.
Do you think we're all connected? Like what? So I guess let's start off with this. What is consciousness to you? Like, if you had to define consciousness, how do you look at consciousness?
I don't know, like knowing something and you're conscious of something. So yeah, we are all connected. And speaking of Laura Eisenhower, I know she was a speaker at my dad's conferences in the past, and when I reached out to her and asked her to come, she she said, "I just want to come to meet you." And so I told her I'm just like you, I'm no different than anybody else. I don't know. So, just trusting and wanting it to happen, it all happens.
Yeah, when we get into that, we just, here's the way I look at consciousness is, it's if you think about like the thing that powers us, the thing that makes us, the energy inside of us, like that, connecting with like the energy of Earth, that makes the Earth move, the energy that powers the universe, that powers all living things, that those energies all interact or connect to each other on some level. Like we're just an extension as flesh and blood human beings. Like we're just an extension of this overall energy, that makes up everything that we know. And it gets deep, and that's the thing. Especially so, if you're just getting into consciousness, it's definitely a rabbit hole to jump down. But just like on the surface of it, when we talk about consciousness in the community, we're kind of talking about that energy, that thing, that essence of us that makes us us. You know what I mean? So when you think about that, then you think about like the energy inside of you, and you think about abilities that we have, like our five senses: touch, taste, smell, hearing, sight, and you think about like deja vu, that feeling you have, or that feeling you have when someone walks in the room and you can tell they're behind you for whatever reason, or if you're thinking about calling someone and then they call you right in that moment, just that energy. Like when you think about that, how do you think, do you see, if you had to think about it, do you see where we would be able to potentially, as humans, connect through that energy to extraterrestrials who a lot of people think also share that same energy? Like, do you see where that connection could be? And then, what do you think about that?
I see it now. Well, do extraterrestrials talk? No. Do we need to talk? Absolutely not.
Right.
That thought of making something happen and Drew messaging, or I'll message somebody and on the other line they're saying, hey, I thought of you. When my dad passed and going through a lawyer, amazing lawyers, texting him and him saying, hey, me and my dad were just talking about you. I'm like, no, you don't even know me to be talking about me.
Right.
Things like that. I get what you mean, but just feeling and radiating. So when you come to the conference, I think you'll get that feeling because they're all happy, loving people there, and you can feel it. My dad had the flags, all the flags there the flag ceremony. So that's peace.org. So I was on their website.
And what is peace.org?
I think it's Peace Prevails. I have to find it. So my dad had the flag ceremony there. I think it was in Ohio or somewhere, and it was outside with thousands of people. When we had it here, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. She reached out to me and said that it was more powerful than when my dad was here. So even though I didn't have 1,000 people here, it was the people that were here. And so when they take the flags and we all pray for all the countries and the flags and the indigenous people, I'm thinking most of us cried. I cried because you can feel it. And praying, I believe in power of prayer. People that can't have babies, they pray for a baby, they're going to get a baby, or they pray for themselves, they're going to get a baby. I was a part of that. My mom had 5 miscarriages, and wow. They prayed in Sweat Lodge, and that's where I came. And another person who passed on, she told me that story way later. So knowing that and understanding, all right, I get it now. So yeah. When we dance for them 4 days, that's your winter, your spring, your summer, your fall. And seeing it happen and unfold, then you'll think differently.
Yeah, and I think that's all about tapping into that. I mean, it's that energy, it's that thing, because and I'll tell you another thing, healing energy, which it I think is kind of along those lines of what you're describing there, is a real thing. And I just, I always try to find ways to have people understand it. Like that sort of thing is definitely real, where just like you said, your mother went through a number of miscarriages, and then through this, I would say healing energy, or I don't know what else you would call it. Then you conceived, right? And then now you're here with us today. So and that kind of goes into that whole consciousness energy thing. That's why it's a deep thing once you get into it. But those types of, and I think also like when we talk about, and I have you talk about right now the Sweat Lodge. So I know Drew told me you did one with him and Laura. I want to say Laura Eisenhower. So I'll get you to talk about that. But that whole experience, that mental thing that happens, that's all I think, or call it consciousness too. But if you wouldn't mind, like talking about your experience in the Sweat Lodge, I heard about it from different people. Like I said, Jim White with Santee Dakota Nation. He talked about it. Drew has talked about it before. And I would be open to doing it, if the rules allowed me to come in and do that. But talk about your experience with it.
Yeah, so my dad would tell stories that when I was younger, I would stand up and dance. Well, sweat lodges are hot, so you're there to listen, and you're have an open heart. My dad wasn't racist at all. So any color can come in. Again, he stood and defended white people to come in. There are rules for women. Most know that, to be covered and their times. But yeah, so my experience after losing my mom down to Greenwood, we had Sweat Lodge, and we burn our stuff, and we go into sweat, and in front of me, I know who's sitting there, but I see this ball of light. So I'm watching it, and then I'm thinking there's a light behind me shining from outside, which it's impossible. And, like reflecting that way. So I'm trying to think if I can see my hand, if it's behind me. But so the ball of light was there, and I didn't say anything. So that caught my attention. And the person is running the lodge. So afterwards, I said, hey, there's a light over there. Maybe I didn't say it. Maybe I told my sister. But he mentioned there's Nikki's mom is over there. She went over there and then came around behind me. So without telling him what I seen, he had already told us that she was there. And that was that light. So knowing that was cool. Like, obviously I know she's there.
Now, when you have these experiences, what are you, what is the process, if you're allowed to say, what process are you going through during the Sweat Lodge? Like, step by step, how does the ceremony take place?
Like hot rocks. So we have 28 rocks that we put on, and 28, is each there. We call them grandfathers. There's a reason that we have 28. We make per flags for inside for, each color, the white, the yellow, the red, blue, green, and purple. And we put them inside. So we pray for the directions. We pray for the animals. We pray for the one that's pouring the lodge and that's being the channel with the messages. And, we have our certain songs inside. And, we don't think about the heat because, my dad taught you pour it hot because the heat is what's going to, I guess, if you can handle that heat, you're going to survive. You can handle, heat, meaning anything, If I interpret it differently, if anybody comes at me in a certain way, I can handle it. I can handle that heat. I can handle just about anything.
Yeah.
So not thinking about that heat, and you're in there to pray. We're praying for our family. We're praying for the world. We're praying for our kids, for ourselves. So you're in that mind state. So that's what we go in there for. And the lodge is like a womb. So you're being reborn again. You come into this world and in your mother's stomach. You're in a lodge cooking in there.
How do you come out of that on the other side? And that was beautiful the way you explained that, because the heat part, I think it could be up to perception or as far as how you would want to interpret that. But I think that was a great interpretation. being if you could stand up to that, or that you can stand up to a lot of things, that would make a lot of sense for that being the case. And then also, maybe for purification potentially, I don't know that I'd be able to take that heat, because I have a hard time sitting in the car with the heater on too high. So I don't even know if I'd be able to get through one of those ceremonies. But how do you come out on the other end? Like, what is the feeling that you have once you come out of this and you're back to normal? I don't know if you even call it normal. When you're out of the ceremony, how do you feel right afterwards?
Well, you're going to feel your heartbeat for one. Having to go into sweat lodge and then not sweat lodge for a long time, and then having to lay down because it's hot. So you're learning to ground, and you're learning to trust Mother Earth, and knowing that she's there to protect you for one. She's cool, so you can put your head down. If there's not 50 people in the lodge with us, you can lay down, and we have rounds, so we can open up the door for you, and you can get your fresh air and come back in. But you're not there to cook, you're there to pray. So if you're not thinking about it, I'm hoping it won't be hot for you. When we come back out, we feel refreshed and connected, and more love, more peace, more grounded. You're on the ground.
And I like that. And I think this is, and I'll ask you how you feel about this, but I feel like, and I tell everyone all the time, when, as I said earlier, that I think our connection or reconnection with our ancestral tribes, wherever they may be, I think is the key. Because when you talk about ceremonies like that, and then connecting with Mother Earth, and that's the bare basic, I think, minimum that everyone should be doing with the planet that they live on. And with that being the case, you have to ask yourself, okay, when you look at other species, we call them aliens, extraterrestrials, they call themselves something else, I'm sure, and it's not aliens or extraterrestrials, whatever they call themselves. And I'm sure that, and some, even regardless on how advanced they may be, further than us, then I think still on some on a root level, that they also have their own indigenous tribes that they originate from, even if it's a million years back in the past. Or even if there's something they still practice to this day, it may be still something that's around for them as well. But I feel just that root connection to just the universe, just you as a living being, could be the thing that allows us to connect with each other. Once we actually have this chance situation where we have contact, then I think that, at least on a root level, would be the one thing that we could sit at the table and have in common with each other. How do you feel about that? If you can give a quick answer before we go to our last break. We got like 30 seconds.
I don't know.
I
was trying to read their things over here.
Okay. Yeah.
I like engaging with people.
I hit you over the head with that. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to go to our last break here. Yeah, it's just we do radio, so we can't really engage with this while we're doing the show, because it kind of leaves our radio audience out. But we can do that on the break, which is coming up right here in about 20 seconds. So guys, don't go anywhere, because next up are going to be audience questions, the ones that you have put together throughout the show. I have tagged them, and we will be asking them to our guests tonight. So don't go anywhere as we get ready to come back for the last half hour right here on Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. See you back here in just a moment, guys. Don't go anywhere. It was like I always say, if you do go somewhere, just make sure you come right back.
I'm going nowhere.
right, we are clear. All right, we are clear. We are clear. And once again, 5 minute break. We're still live on YouTube, so everyone can still see and hear us. If you need to do anything for this 5 minutes, let me know, and I'll drop you off, or we can just hang out for the 5 minutes. Either way.
I'm hanging out.
All right, all right. So now we're on break. The questions, don't answer the questions, but if you want to say hello to some people out there, go ahead and do that, because the questions I've tagged, and then I'll be using those to ask you once we come back from the radio break. But if you want to shout out anybody out there, definitely take the time to do so while we're on break here.
I know Aaron's watching. I think Amber's sleeping. Somebody said they're coming to Star Knowledge in October.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to find me on Facebook, you can follow me under my name. I think I can chat it. No, I can't. So Nikki Zephier. Oh, there. I can. That says everybody. No, that's private.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can copy it, maybe. Oh, yeah, you should be able to chat it out to everyone. Are you able to?
I don't know.
Okay.
That says private chat.
Yeah, maybe you can.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. So you're just putting your name out there, Nikki Zephier?
That's just between you guys. Oh, Misha's here. Hi, Misha.
Ah, Misha is here. Hello, Misha. Thanks for coming in tonight. Another new name. Appreciate you.
Somebody said it feels like they've seen me before. And when I go places, that's sometimes I'll argue with somebody because I've seen them before.
Yeah, well, who knows where it was? Who knows if it was in waking reality? Who knows where it could have been in the astral realms? We talk about that a lot. Could just be that familiar energy. There's been times I felt like I saw it, like I know this person. I know I've seen this person, and it'll take me so long to figure out what it was. And sometimes it'll just be somebody I saw on TV, like just an actor or something random, but not that I've never met the person before. You know what I mean? Or seen the person before. So
Aaron's on here. I don't know if I said that. Aaron's on here, so Aaron's a really good speaker. I surprised the conference. Oh, I wanted to surprise Aaron as a surprise guest speaker because he knows a lot. He knows everything. And everybody that listened to him online, they were amazed and loved him. You already know that, Aaron. But yeah, I love interacting with people.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to do that, but it's just when we have our radio audience, they don't know anybody that you're mentioning right here. They don't know about a chat. They don't know that we have this information.
They'll know about Aaron.
They don't know we have all these cool individuals in the chat that they could join if they came over to YouTube and check this out. And maybe some of them do. I don't know, but some people, I guess, just like to listen on the radio or in podcast form. Like, that's weird to me, right? Because
yeah, me too.
I can listen to a podcast, but I rather watch, like, if it's a show as well, I'd rather watch the show. I don't know. I'm more visual, but I can understand. I mean, I've listened to podcasts where it's just audio. I understand the difference there. So I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Super weird. So if anybody wants books, these books are, I'm assuming in almost all the countries. They're in Germany, they're in Italy, they're in Spain, the UK. I don't know what countries, but Canada, New Zealand, Switzerland, Hawaii, and all around the US and probably almost all the states, in case you're wondering. So you can contact me and I mail them out. It's really fun.
There you go, guys. Make sure you do that. Make sure you show your love and support as well. We have about 45 seconds before we come back from radio. Please get your. I have some questions here, guys, that you have posed, and I may have missed one or two during this. So if I have, please resubmit those. Also, make sure you put them in caps. We are going to start asking questions as soon as we come back from this break. So I'll be on the lookout now as well. If you pose those, I will once again, I will click them, check them, and then I will ask them to our guest in just a moment here. Tamad, man, appreciate you putting Nikki's links in the chat there. We're coming back from break right now. I'm going to mute you real quick. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we had a small issue here with our intro coming back in. I'll have to give me just a second. I'll have to play it manually. I hate when that happens. Let me see. All right, coming back right now. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 2.5. We're actually 1.5. We're on the back half of the second hour. Means we have about 20 minutes left with our guests here. Make sure that you get your questions lined up. Put them in caps so I can tag them, and we will ask them right now. If we jump right back into the conversation, guys, let's get back into it. Definitely appreciate everyone coming in. And if you missed anything tonight, hop in the archive, youtube.com/@spacedoutradio. Yeah, just technical difficulties here as we go ahead and get back into the conversation here. So, Nikki, let me go ahead and make sure that you're ready to go. You are unmuted. Okay. First question for the night here is coming from Frankie B. Frankie B is asking, was Elk Woman's father ever in Tuba City, Arizona during the early 90s?
Maybe. I think he did lots of conferences, but that would have been after the 90s, 97, 98. So it was Wagner, then it was Estes Park, then Arizona, if it was a conference. So back then he was Standing Elk.
Okay.
I don't know what city. I know I was with them.
Okay, that is awesome. Mike Jones asking you here, have the visitors who contacted your father ever said what other Earth civilizations they are in contact with?
Like Pleiades, like the Galactic Federation?
I think so, yeah.
I know he said if you look up in the sky and wherever you look at the most, that's where he came from.
All right. And let me see here. Let me go ahead and tag that here. Got a few more questions here. We have Sierra, why didn't the ETs help the indigenous people when they were being colonized? So that's a political question. I wish I knew. Do you have any answer to that?
I'm thinking, I know for a fact everything happens for a reason, and as far as death, if that's a part of it, there is no death. We all have to be reborn. Colonized. Yeah, I'm not really history or know a lot about that other than my own experiences. So
it's and that question goes even into today, because they say, okay, why would extraterrestrials, if they're here to help, why would they stand around and allow bombs to be dropped and all these horrific things that happen? And that's kind of along those lines. Why would they allow the colonization to happen here in North America, which is definitely something I'm against and hate that happened as well. And I like to, when I look at the map of the United States, I did that recently. I actually said, let's go back to the tribal map. It's such a better map. It's such a better map than the one that we have set up with states and indivisible borders and things of that nature. So that's me going off on a rant. But here's the next question here coming in from Cool Vibes. Cool Vibes is asking, can you describe our quote starry nature, as the chief says?
I don't know. Like, why are we so starry? Why did we come from the stars? I don't know what's up there.
Yeah, this may be something.
Just,
It sounds like that they're almost saying that this may be something he used to reference when in his talks, a starry nature.
I'll have to find it on a video.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Let me see. We have. Let's see. Okay, we have T-Bone who's asking, question: did your father ever Sundance?
Yes, he did. He
All
was
right.
eventually the chief.
Let's talk about
So,
it. Do you have a story about that?
I don't know how many years he Sundanced. I probably wasn't even born when he Sundanced. All I know is, he was ahead of them. And he brought the Sundance back home here 5 years ago before he passed. So he brought it back home, and I was able to be there and be a witness because it was in Iowa, and of course I work and can't go. So bringing it back home, I was able to go and witness things that first year. And then the second year is when he got sick. And then learning, each day after he passed, knowing, all right, the next following season, why everything happened the way it did is because that's what happened on that first and second and third and fourth day. So a lot of, I think, don't want to force anybody to come to Sundance, but it's real.
All right. And let's see what else we get here. We have Mel WD-40 made a statement, and I'll just add this because we were talking about the heat sweat lodge. He says singing the prayer songs helps take your mind off the heat. Is that true from what you?
So if you were to come into Lodge and you were to sing the songs rather than focus on that you're hot, that you can't breathe, you're not going to be hot, and like I said, you can lay down, and once you get your focus on that, you don't like being in the hot car, or being out in the sun, you got to learn to handle it.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And let me see. So we got that question. We also have Leechum, the spicy lizard, saying, what traditional spiritual practices and even dances would you recommend and would be appropriate for a non-native to perform? Anytime I see native dance or hear music, I'm urged to meditate or dance myself.
My dad brought a lot of white people here, so I guess come to South Dakota. If we're all one people, then you're more than welcome to come here. So the first year, you can definitely support and watch. So the first step is to watching and learning and understanding and not judging, because there are some things that you're not going to agree with, but knowing that it's all for a reason and a purpose. So yeah, you can come to some sweat lodges and Sundance or powwows even.
Awesome stuff. Let's see. Okay. Go ahead and get this next one here. We have quantum hypnosis therapy. Thank you for the awesome super chat as well. Asking, what can you say about the ant memes, if you're familiar with them?
Other than the movie? I don't know. Look how tiny they are and what they can do.
This is what was brought to my attention the other day. Gosh, I was speaking to Barbara DeLong. This was last weekend actually, and we were talking about the ant people and ant beings, and she kind of gave me this perspective on not being that these things were like look like ants or were underground, but maybe they were just people
Mm.
who or beings that were driven underground, and because they were living underground, then they were called ant people, but not necessarily that they were ant people. And I was like, you know what, that makes sense. If we had if we had a part of humanity that currently lived underground, they would still look like us, but we would call them ant people because they live underground. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense, and probably more likely what was meant when someone said using the term ant being. So that was just something I thought about as you answered that question. But we also had, I think these are more just statements. Let's see. Thorley and Hobson said, I imagine star beings haven't abandoned their people. They left the spirit of the Kachinas and they watch from many, many miles away. Okay, awesome stuff there. And let me see if anyone else has added any questions here. I think we might be clear there. I know some stuff going on out there. Okay.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, okay. So is there anything that you want to address specifically while you're in front of, a group? Anything that you want to get across to the audience?
No, I mean, I see there's a QA or SO. I don't know what that is, but I had Suzanne Spooner here last year, and she was here the year before with Bill Holman and Catherine Lanigan. I don't know if anybody knows them. Catherine Lanigan has books about angels, and Bill Holman has the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull. So Suzanne Spooner does QHHT, and she was here last year. And then this year I have, I think, 3 women who do QHHT, and one of them is Tracy Mahan, who knows Dolores Cannon. Her daughter is Julia. So, gonna have some amazing people here.
Awesome. And let me see. Let me bring that back up for everybody here, as we may as well talk to that. Drew Banky was like, you should go and speak at it. I'm like, I'm in California, and
Most of the people are from California or Oregon, or Aaron's coming from Florida. Most of the people that come here, or Colorado, they're from other states. So not a lot of people actually live here. A couple women are from Hawaii. We've had people from Germany come. So a lot of are from out of state, and you're from California. I can't remember his name. He's from Strange Universe. He was supposed to come.
Well, he's
Beyond the Strange.
Beyond the Strange. Okay.
Yep.
This is pretty cool. Maybe if you guys do it next year, if you're able to have me do it, I would definitely consider doing it. So that would be awesome. Let me go ahead and fix my little issue I have here. So yeah. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get ready to so let me do this because I'll have to step away for a second. Speak to the audience about what your father meant to you, what you feel about all the work that he's done leading up to this point, and just generally how you feel about him. And I'll be back with you in just a moment.
Yeah, so all the work that he's done for 30 years isn't any different than, I don't want to put him on a pedestal. but he did a lot. He connected people from all over the United States, all over the world, and after passing on, he's still not done working. He's People have dreamt about him. Other people who've never met him dreamt about him and asked about him. Another one of the speakers went into a meditative state, and he came to her. I can share that clip. But just knowing passing on doesn't really mean you're gone. So his job isn't done. He's only, needing a little help from us to help the rest of the world.
And he's getting that help from you, which I think is really awesome. Like I said, it takes a lot to carry on for someone in that way. And like I said, it's big shoes to fill whenever you're stepping up to the plate, because it sounds like, and I'm going to do more research on him, because I feel like, a lot of the things that you've talked about that he has spoken to are a lot of the same things that we talk about here on the show, especially when Drew and I get into these spiritual conversations. Kind of sounds like, as far as what we are looking for, or the outcome to be, is exactly the same thing that he talks about. So I think that's awesome, and I think it's awesome that you're continuing to keep this going. How many years have you, and you may have said this, but how many years have you been putting this on or helping organize this?
This will be the 4th year. And so next year should be bigger if you're coming.
If I'm invited, you know what? If you invite me, I'm going to try to come next year for sure. Or even this year.
Invited.
October is so far out that if it was open, I would definitely try to make that happen.
You don't try, just do it.
That's on. Okay, there we go. So yes, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna do it. Manifest. I'm gonna manifest the gas money to get to South Dakota, California, because I'm not flying. If you've been seeing what's going on with airplanes nowadays, that's the thing stopping me from traveling across the United States. Not to mention that if you haven't, and this is for the people here in the United States, I don't know if you guys are aware, but the real ID kicks in to where you can't even travel domestically starting on, I think, May 7th. So if you plan on going anywhere, any flights or anywhere where you have to present your ID, your destination is somewhere in the United States. If you don't have a real ID, you won't be able to do it. So just so you guys know, and I don't have mine yet either, but he said, I think it was May 25th. I'm pretty sure I heard somebody say May 7th, part of March. It could be 25th, May in general. So make sure you do that, or you won't be going anywhere. You won't be going anywhere. Mel W40, get Rob in the Sweat Lodge. The problem is, like, here's my thing. I have gone into saunas, right? Just those rooms with the rocks that at the gym. I've sat in sauna and I can't sit in there any longer than like 3 minutes. How long are these sweat lodges normally?
A half hour, an hour.
Oh, no.
If anybody knows who Alanis Morissette is, there's her husband is.
I know Alanis Morissette. Yeah.
Okay, so her husband goes to Sweat Lodge all the time. So I actually have his number. And I didn't really meet him through the phone, through another friend. Anyway, he's in the sauna all the time.
Okay. All right. Thanks for confirmation. May 7th is the date that if you have plans on flying anywhere within the United States, you need a real ID or you will be turned away. And so might as well get that process started right now. With that being said, though, this has been awesome tonight, and I'm totally glad that you came in, and I'm glad that we're able to kind of be a part of getting this message out there on behalf of your father. It definitely sounds like, once again, that if I had the opportunity to interview him, I would be asking these same questions, and you have, answered them awesomely on his behalf is also what I'll say. And yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So maybe it'll be cool to be able to come out and meet you guys. I mean, things happen, and I'm gonna try my best. But she said I can't say that I'm gonna try. She just say I have to do it. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna do it, but I don't want to come across as not telling the truth if the day comes and I'm not there. So I'll be in contact with you. Let's say that. Um, and yeah, so go. Usually, what I like to do is have our guests leave like a positive message at the end of the show, like just something like if you were channeling your father, if you were channeling his thoughts, the way that you know him so well, and how he felt about people and the things he would say to people, like what would be something you think he would leave this off with for the people to know?
He'd say, "Don't forget to laugh." He'd tell you not to forget to laugh. Other people who met him for the first time, were like, "Oh, is this guy real? He's supposed to be a chief, but he's down to earth and laughing and joking and playing music. He's a normal person." So he'd definitely tell you to stay in your heart and don't forget to laugh, and men do cry. And also, he would tell men to listen to their women, listen to their wives and sisters and daughters, because, they know a lot. We know a lot.
No, that's actually really cool, and I like that because that takes me into, and let me step back a moment, because I know a moment you was like you don't want to put them on a pedestal. Here's what I'll say about that. There are certain people that do uh work on behalf of the greater good of everyone else. Some people don't take the time to even consider everyone else. A lot of people just nose down and they live their life and they worry about the person around them. They don't worry about or even take into consideration people they've never met, or just the way that humanity goes. It's more self-centered sort of outlook on life. And when you have people that are able to kind of take everyone else into consideration when doing work or expending energy, it's definitely something that should be pointed out. I consider myself as a person that feels that way. I love all human beings. I would, sacrifice things in order for the benefit of human beings. And I know that's what he was doing as well. So you kind of have to give those people their flowers. And sometimes it seems like being put on a pedestal, but awesome work by your father. Awesome work for you to keep doing it. I'd love to have you back. This has been cool conversation talking to you, and I think everybody else, from what I'm reading, has also enjoyed this. Go ahead once again and tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get those books as well. You have about 30 seconds.
You can find me on Facebook under Nikki Zephier. You can email nzephier6@gmail.com, and you can find me on Instagram.
All right, all under your name, same name, Nikki Zephier.
Same name. I'd put my number out, but that's already on the flyer.
Oh, okay, guys, that's her number on the flyer. So that's it. All right, thank you so much for coming in, Nikki. We'll be talking soon. Have a great rest of your night and take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Nikki Zephier, guys. Awesome show as we go ahead and wrap up our hour 2. We still have an hour 3 left to go, so make sure that you guys stay right here. And once again, if you leave, just make sure you come right back to the show. We'll have Steve Stockton Tells Untold Missing Person Mysteries and Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap up. See you in a minute.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio.
You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
welcome back. Spaced Out Radio after hour number 3, guys. We have about 30 seconds before we come back from radio. It's going to be an awesome hour 3. We have Steve Stockton, Tales Untold, Mr. Person Mysteries, and Drew Banky coming up with the after hours wrap up. And then we'll end it off with some UFO weird news because that's just what we do. So let's get ready to come back to the show, guys. Let's make it happen. Last hour, pump it up. Let's go. All right, everybody, welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are coming back with the action-packed hour number 3. We have Steve Stockton, Tales Untold, Missing Person Mysteries. Then we have Drew Banky with the After Hours wrap-up. Then we have UFO and weird news, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere. This hour is going to fly by. Like I said, if you miss any of the show tonight, make sure you hop in the archive. Absolutely free, youtube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. As we go ahead and get ready to jump into the show, because as you know, it's just about time for Steve Stockton Tales Untold, Mr. Person Mysteries. We do appreciate Steve Stockton being part of the show. We're going to jump right on into it like that.
Welcome to Tales Untold and Missing Persons Mysteries on Spaced Out Radio's After Hours. My name is Steve Stockton, and I'm here to take you on a journey of mysteries, legends, and true stories. Come, join me on this strange adventure of Tales Untold and Missing Person Mysteries. Number 3, Alan Tice. 52-year-old Alan Tice disappeared in November 2003 while on vacation, a time he planned to spend collecting rocks and hunting mule deer in the upper Missouri River Breaks area of Montana. Alan checked into his hotel without issue on November 22nd and paid cash for part of his stay in advance. Nothing was unusual until November 24, his scheduled checkout date, when there was simply no sign of him. Most of his things were still in the motel room except for his hunting gear, so it was assumed that he must have gone out hunting and never made it back. 2 days later, November 26, Alan was officially reported missing. Authorities began looking for him quickly thereafter. Alan stood 5 foot 10 inches tall and weighed 160 pounds. He was an avid outdoorsman with a good reputation at his job and was known for being a responsible employee. It wouldn't have been like him to miss an appointed checkout time at a motel. It was especially strange when an aircraft search team located his abandoned truck in a wilderness area along the Missouri River, but there was no sign of Alan himself. Strangely, all they found in his truck was an empty rifle case and his boots, which had been left behind and placed side by side. What happened to Alan, and why did he go out into the woods without his boots? No trace has ever been found, and he was declared legally dead in 2011. As of December 28, 2020, Alan remains missing, and there have been no further updates. Number 2, Jeremy Childress. 31-year-old Jeremy Childress disappeared on October 17, 2004 from Trask Mountain in Tillamook County, Oregon, while on an elk hunting excursion accompanied by his co-worker, Shane Louie, and his son, Shane Jr. On October 17, the 3 guys had spent the day out hunting and enjoying the great outdoors. Once back at camp, they decided to make a trip down the mountain to gather firewood for the night. The trio hopped in the pickup truck, driven by Shane, and made their way down the winding roads collecting firewood. Traveling back toward camp, they encountered a dense fog that surprised and disoriented them. Driving through it while trying to find their campsite was seemingly getting them nowhere, and after a while, Jeremy told his companions that he believed the camp was beyond a particular stand of trees they passed. Shane agreed to pull over and let Jeremy investigate further. Shane and his son got out with Jeremy and hiked a little ways into the fog, but ultimately stayed behind while Jeremy went ahead solo to confirm whether camp was nearby. The intention was for Jeremy to return soon thereafter with news. As Jeremy melted into the thick fog, nobody could have known that it would be the last time anyone would see him again. Shane and his son got back to the truck and waited about an hour, but when Jeremy didn't turn up, they went for help. When the fog finally lifted, an extensive area-wide search and rescue was conducted, but there was no trace of Jeremy other than a discarded gum wrapper of his favorite brand. Despite the extensive efforts put forth in subsequent searches by Jeremy's wife, Kristen, and dozens of other volunteers, no other signs of Jeremy were ever found. A seemingly odd clue was uncovered, though. A passerby witness who claims to have heard 3 shots fired in rapid succession on the evening Jeremy disappeared, and although this is a traditional SOS signal, it is unclear if the occurrence is connected to Jeremy's case, and it is also said that his friends did not hear the shots. As of December 12, 2004, more than a 4-mile radius from where he was last seen had been searched by many teams, with still no signs coming up. Jeremy's family is understandably devastated by his disappearance, and his 3-year-old daughter, Kelsey, asked her mom over and over in the days thereafter when her daddy was coming home. As of December 28, 2020, Jeremy's ultimate fate remains unknown, and he has been pronounced deceased. Any further updates are posted on the memorial website run by Jeremy's family and can be viewed by clicking the link in the show notes labeled Jeremy's Memorial Site. Number 1, Barnett Barry Zeldin. 74-year-old Barnett Barry Zeldin disappeared on Monday, October 7, 2013, after telling his wife he was planning to put some bait at a deer stand near Chatsworth in the Warren Grove Recreation Area in Barnegat, New Jersey. That's the last time Barry was seen. He took his '92 Chevy Blazer to the recreation area, where he would likely have begun checking his usual hunting and lure spots. He carried corn and molasses to put out for the deer and had brought his dog along for good company. They left Barry's Mays Landing home and drove to a section of the Warren Grove Recreation Area. Now, the Warren Grove Recreation Area in New Jersey is mostly undeveloped wilderness, perfect for hiking, bird watching, hunting, and the like. The 617 acre is just west of the town of Warren Grove. The land was acquired from the National Park Service in 1972 as part of their Federal Lands to Parks program. Access to the recreation area is limited to several sand roads and old woods roads throughout the area, but there are currently no marked trails. Barry frequented this wilderness and was a strong outdoorsman, avid hunter, and capable survivalist. The weather at the time of Barry's disappearance was overcast, damp, and chilly, both during the night and daytime. Temperatures were around 66 degrees Fahrenheit, with winds gusting to 30 miles per hour. Even so, Barry was equipped with the necessary skills to handle the conditions. When Barry didn't come home or call Monday night, his wife, Janet Zeldin, wasn't really worried at first because he was known to make spontaneous hunting trips that sometimes lasted for several days. Janet said, "I didn't think much of it. I figured maybe he got a deer and he was looking for it. He's very independent." She began calling his cell phone every hour by Tuesday and into Wednesday, but all she got was his voicemail. On Thursday, October 10th, she tried to drive to the Audubon Gun Club, where Barry was a member, but she couldn't find it. The next day, she tried again, this time finding it, and got several members of the club to go out looking for Barry. Wilbur Swales, president of the Audubon Gun Club, said, "A couple of us went out Friday night looking for him, and we couldn't find nothing. Then we went out Saturday, me and 3 other members of the club, and we found his automobile." Barry's 1992 Chevy Blazer was parked at Warren Grove. The keys were still in the ignition with the windows rolled down, cell phone on the dashboard, and his dog, Taffy, still there waiting for him, having survived 4 days alone by eating the corn and molasses meant for the deer. Janet speculated of the dog, he must have left her to check on the deer stand or to put some apples out, and there was a medical emergency. She does what she's told, so he must have told her to stay put. New Jersey State Police and State Park Police searched for Barry using helicopters and canine teams. Search efforts originally concentrated on the Warren Grove Recreation Area, but expanded closer to the Bass River State Forest, also in New Jersey. By Sunday afternoon, October 13th, 6 days after Barry's disappearance, the authorities called off the official search and rescue operation. Even so, volunteers with Burlington County Canine Search and Rescue went back into the recreation area the following Tuesday and then planned a larger search the following weekend. Janet said at the time, "I know he's good in the woods. That's why I never worry. He knows what he's doing. He's a very avid hunter. He probably could survive out there indefinitely." Barry's daughter-in-law, Debbie Zeldin, said, "It's like he just vanished. His car was found with his dog. She's okay, but we're afraid of what might have happened because he loved that dog. He would have never left her anywhere if he wasn't going to be right back." In November 2013, Barry's wife, Janet, said, "Every weekend and sometimes during the week, there is someone out looking for him. There have been different rescuers, state troopers, neighbors, friends, and the fire department. In 2 weeks, the shotgun hunters will be going out, and there should be about 1,000 of them pushing for deer. Between the newspaper coverage, TV, and word of mouth, everyone out there will know he's missing and will look for him. As time goes by, I guess I get less hopeful. What made Barry leave his dog Taffy in the Blazer with his cell phone and belongings? Clearly, he only planned to be away for a short time. Did he suffer a stroke or heart attack because of his age and perhaps fall into the dense undergrowth in the area? Was he attacked by a large predatory animal? None of his gear or other belongings were ever located. Only his truck, its contents, and his dog. As of December 28, 2020, Barry remains missing, and there have been no further updates.
Tales Untold, Miss Person Mysteries. Steve Stockton, once again, do appreciate being a part of the show. We love it right here on the After Hours Radio Show. We're going to go ahead and jump right on into our next segment here, which you know what time it is. It's time for the After Hours wrap-up with our guy, Drew Banky. Let's go.
You're an irredeemable monster!
Come here, I'm going to eat you! Get in my belly!
Get down to the Nard! Get down to the Nard! Go it, go it! Wolfman's got Nard! You're a monster!
After Hours wrap up with Drew Banky in the building. Drew, awesome show tonight. How you been? You're muted, sir.
Hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we-
Great guest, as I was just saying, as no one can hear me but myself. But yeah, great guest, great friend of mine. You know, like I said, been in Sweat Lodge with her before, so you know it's a spiritual connection, and it's I believe that was her Sweat Lodge that at the Sundance grounds where her father held Sundance. So very, very sacred spot. I was had a privilege to pray with her and a few other people, and to include Laura Eisenhower and others. Yeah, but it's very powerful, and yeah, she's just been a friend for a few years. So yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What were some of your takeaways as you sat listening to the interview here tonight?
Well, look here, I'll tell you. So the radio audience can't see, but I got this when I was at that conference a few years ago, because I was supposed to speak, and I ended up leaving. There was an emergency that come up, and I had to leave before it was my time to speak. I was supposed to speak on the last day. But so I was there hanging out and sung some songs and spoke to a lot of people. But this is a recreation of the symbols, and it's on both sides. But for the radio audience that can't see it, this is a recreation, and it's on wood and everything. And it's symbols that Nikki was describing.
Yep. So it's a wood strip with a bunch of symbols in a line. And yeah. So what do the symbols represent?
They're different things. And so basically what and I may be giving out false information, but my understanding of it is just having it in the room like emits a certain frequency. Like you don't even have to like read it. But I think the basis of it, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it come from the something have to do with Roswell. One of the crashes at Roswell, or some have to do with the Roswell. It was recovered part of the structure off of one of the pieces. From my understanding, I don't understand, and I may be mistaken on a little bit of it, but that was my takeaway from what I've heard about it. I haven't got a whole bunch into it. I do have one of the books behind me. Actually, one of Chief Golden Light Eagle's books is behind me in the bookshelf. As I pointed out to Dolores Cannon books behind me last night, told Chief Golden Light Eagle is one of the books that is behind me on the bookshelf. So in my office. And yeah, I believe in his work. I was supposed to it's funny because I've been supposed to speak at two of his conferences, and right before each of the conferences something major happened, and I didn't end up speaking. I was supposed to speak a few years ago while he was still alive, up in Estes Park, and yeah, my sister-in-law passed away right before that, and we had to leave and take off to go be with family and everything. So just weird timing, but yeah, I always I support the message for sure. And yeah, it's it had some great work and some really deep stuff, talking and channeling some stuff, and I obviously I resonate with all of it. He's a Sundance chief, you know. the That's why Nikki kind of laughed when the I saw, and I laughed too in the background. Listened to the interview when the question come up. It was like, did your father ever Sundance? It's like, yeah, he was Sundance chief, and you have to put in your time to receive that right to run the Sundance. So yeah, he put in a lot of time under the tree and doing a lot of suffering and ultimately expanding through those ceremonies. And I only experienced 3 years myself, and I can attest that a lot of growth spiritually come from that time at the tree. Like Nikki was saying, without any help at all. I'm one of those hybrid guys that believe in both ways, the power of both ways, and the time and place of both ways. There's a time and place. I believe there's a time and place for plant medicine, and there's also a time and place to show yourself the power that's in yourself. But there's these times that we are in right now. Consciousness is moving so quickly. That's why I believe plant medicine is in the mix, because sometimes we need that boost of things happening right now or without hindrance of going through a process.
Yeah. I mean, some people just need that. I mean, we talked about that. Some people just don't have any other method to reach that level, and some people just, that's the tool they have to use. Some people can do it without, some people need the tool, some people prefer the tool. There's just many different ways to skin a cat, right? So
Yeah.
that's really what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
But
but the Sundance is amazing experience. I mean, anyone that's ever been there, anyone that's ever witnessed it, and definitely anyone that's ever went into the arbor and actually experienced it for themselves, it's something that will never, it's a life changing moment each time. And you know, some of these guys, when because when you go in the sweat lodge, the men, they normally take off their shirts and just wearing shorts or loincloths, or sometimes just naked going into the sweat lodge, but you see their scars on their chest, and some of them have full, I mean, I got a few, but some of them would just have full uh chest of just scars from years and years of sun dancing. And you know that's that's I couldn't imagine the growth of some of these. Like, I had my awakening when I was 36. I first drank ayahuasca, and none of this was before, just my path and everything ended up leading to Standing Rock, then ended up leading to the Sundance sweat lodges, and then eventually invited to a Sundance and danced and everything, and then everything else fall into place. But I'm glad I experienced the depths of my own consciousness both ways, to see the value in both, for sure. I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, I said there's a few ways to skin a cat. There, we don't actually skin cats here on the show. Just so you know, there was no kittens or baby cats harmed in the filming of the
Don't get
show.
us canceled, Rob.
It is simply a saying, and maybe I could have used a different one. But yeah. With that being said, when we get into these conversations, it's it's cool to have someone as I told Nikki, when you have an opportunity to take something on, it is always best when it's something that you're not consciously doing. It's something that you've been led into doing, and then in that way it doesn't feel like anything that would be considered work, or as I presented the question, anything that may be burdenous to you, because as she said, it's something very enjoyable. And I think that's a good way to look at it, because just like with anything, you have someone, your children that take over the family business. You usually think it'd be the oldest kid, right? Has all his things in order, but no, it doesn't necessarily end up that way. It's the one that has the drive and the ambition to kind of take it on, and that's kind of what you see here. So, just glad that
Sure.
she's being able to continue his work, because from what I've heard, from the things that I have looked at on the chief, he's definitely had the right message as far as what the outlook for humanity, and I'm behind that.
Sure.
I'm pro humanity, and I'm behind the message all the way.
Sure. His message was what a lot of I agree upon too. Is more, and what I've spoke upon in the past, speaking about these native elders. There's some type of divide, and you can kind of see it of the understanding of spirituality and how uh our basis and where we really come from. And if you really believe in the stars, like, you kind of look past any body, like any makeup, like their physical makeup, their skin color, or where they're from, because you understand, like, the basis of it's from the stars anyways. So like my Sundance chief, Dennis Banks, was one of the founders of American Indian movement, and in his later years he founded the Sundance that I went to, and his basis was the same idea. He brought a lot of people from Japan, so we had like 8 people in our Sundance that was dancing in the arbor with us, piercing and everything, with feathers and everything, from Japan, because there's a lot of prophecies that talk about the age of peace is going to come when all colors come and dance around the same tree. So, and we can talk about it after the break. But really, and what was coming up to me is a program I was watching today about Neanderthals. Like, really, uh there was only one race on the planet at one time, and we all derived from the one race of Neanderthals in one way or the other. But we're talking 175,000 years ago. Like, they found proof of them doing ritualistic, ceremonial, funerals. So, you know it depends on how big your mind is and how far you want to go back. If you want to go back a couple hundred years, or if you want to go back to our real history, like, we're all connected. So, and that's what the real elders and real spiritual teachers really, that's the echo that goes across all teachings.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a cohesive message, and that's really what I love about it. And I think the most important part about it, and the beautiful thing, is keeping the message going. I always wonder, I know my son sometimes watches this show, because he's dropped in the chat once or twice before, and I always, I don't expect him to continue on the work, because I think you have to be driven to do this. You have to be really led into that position. Maybe he'll naturally want to pick this up and move the needle for humanity. Maybe not. You know what I mean? But I guess we'll see. I can always hope, right? But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to take us into the last break of the night right here on the After Hours Radio Show with myself and Drew Banky doing the After Hours wrap up. It's been awesome so far, guys. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Like I said, if you do, just come back. That's all you have to do. Just come right back. We'll be right here ready to end the show with you on the Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show. See you back in a minute. All right, we are clear.
Yeah. I'm still trying to see if I can make it to South Dakota this year. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be able to. I don't know. We'll see.
It's far enough out. I'm thinking to where I'm not gonna fly. That's just number one, though. I'm not flying,
dude. If you drive, let's go stop through Colorado. We're road trip it there.
See, what's gonna have to happen, Drew, is if we do this road trip, I'm not driving. Well, if I don't have to, I'm not driving through the Rocky Mountains, dude, because I don't like driving cliffside where the overhang is like 1,000-foot drop, and then it's October, so maybe it's snowy and icy. Is it snowy and icy then?
Could or couldn't be. You just never know.
See, that's the thing.
It could be 60. It could be blizzard. But
I have
if you put I think if Nikki was on here speaking right now, she would say like you're putting a lot of stipulations on, what ifs.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? You're putting roadblocks already.
She said Nike, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, just do it like Nike. So
I'm with that.
I think after 2 hours, you can see why me and Nikki are good friends. Like she has a great, just sense of humor and just demeanor. You just never know like when she's gonna say something funny or when she's gonna say something serious. Actually, it's mostly something funny, but there's always sometimes there's wisdom just wrapped up in what she has to say. So, it's just funny and I'm just honored to be her friend. So glad you come on. I see her in the chat.
That's good stuff. Good stuff, man. And like I said, we'll be bringing her back on, and maybe we'll do that like right before the conference. So regardless on if we go or not, we'll at least be able to bring her on and talk about it again, and make sure that people are there. Fast Semi says rent a Ford Raptor. If I did, I would rent one of the white ones. You already know what I'm talking about. The white Ford Raptor with the slightly tinted windows, and I would drive through every single secret military installation, like right along the outskirts, or maybe even kind of through not the restricted areas, obviously, but I do it just to kind of play with what they call the camo dudes. If anybody's familiar with who the camo dudes are, they're the hired security that that patrol the perimeters of places like Area 51. So if you've ever been to Area 51 and you've been up to one of the gates, you've seen the camo dudes. You know exactly who they are. They seem to pop up out of nowhere too, which is crazy because you're in a flat desert. You could see all around you for miles, and these guys in white trucks still find a way to pop up on you out of nowhere. I will never understand it. It makes me feel like they have, when people talk about these secret caves and stuff, it makes me feel like they are driving through and then kind of just popping up where you are, because they do have these the radar on the ground that it detects like vibrations. They have those things buried all over the desert, even though they're not supposed to. They do. And yeah, talk about that. What is that?
This is the 13 book. So this is the third book. And the universal symbols and spiritual laws of the creator. Yeah, just some interesting stuff. And I have read through it all the way, but just some of the stuff in here is just so There's so many synchronicities in here, man.
Definitely. Fatsemi says just tinted, no decals at Social Day, Mr. Rob G. No, that's absolutely correct. You cannot needs to be a bare thing. Let's see. Looks like Nikki's saying right now it's the Acer symbol. So I'm not sure which one that is. ASUR. Yeah. Looks like an infinite.
Hey Nikki, this is what I want to talk. I've been talking to you about in private. I want to figure out something about this.
As Drew Banky is showing the decapitated foot of a bald American eagle, which may or may not be legal to own. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. With that being said, we got about 8 seconds before we come back here. Here we go. 5 seconds. Let's go. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show right here with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, joined with our Hour 3 guy, Drew Banky. After Hours wrap up, getting into some really good stuff. Also had an awesome guest tonight. If you missed any of the show, hop in the archives, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, as we get ready to have this conversation and break down what's going on. We'll also get into some UFO and weird news, so that'll be coming soon as we get ready to wrap up the show with everyone here. Only about 20 minutes left here. So let's talk more about what we talked about today. So you were talking about the symbols during the break. Go ahead and talk more about those.
Yeah, I shouldn't be speaking on it because I'm not that too well versed on what they all mean. But like Nikki was saying, there's certain people that have certain specialties. So there's this grandma, one of those grandmas that she was talking about. She knows specifically what each symbol means, and it's some type of language that's encoded in it that's deeper than I really know. But the books explain a lot, and I'm sure like if you end up getting the books or reading or finding the reading or finding out about them, a lot of synchronicities will pop up. But they did for me when, like, I know this book I have was talking about Ra, talking about stars, different things like that. So there's a lot of synchronicities that pop up to me. So yeah, it's just it goes deep, and our history goes way deep. There's talk that our history might even go, the history of humanity might go back 3 million years or more past. But as we were talking about before the break about Neanderthals, like, I was just seeing a documentary I was watching about Neanderthals today. They're finding proof of them living 175,000 years ago, and they're finding proof that even that far back they were doing ritualistic funerals, meaning that they were finding remnants that they had picked flowers from surrounding areas, picked up rocks and other articles, and had a ritualistic. So a lot of the teachings up until just like 5-6 years ago was talking about Neanderthals being very low IQ and basically animalistic, and just because they found proof of them actually eating the meat off of bones off of the dead. But they also found proof that they were taking care of these elders that were in their tribes, because some of these people that they're finding in these burial sites had broken legs, arthritis, and were 70, were 50 to 60 to 70 years old when they died. Very one of them was missing a hand, and blind in one eye, and they had been like that for like 30 or 40 years before they passed away. So that means like the tribe was taking care of them. So we're finding proof that around 200,000 years ago there was a basically a conscious connection. They were finding proof of them actually doing ceremonial sites. There were around sites that they were doing ceremonies in all the way back then. So my point is, our history goes way back, even back then, and this is physical proof through these archaeological finds in Neanderthals. I forgot the country, but there was like four major finds that they found, remnants and skeletal remains of Neanderthals, and they're learning all these different things from them. But our history goes way back, and we're just now starting to find back. It goes way back then, and kind of the storyline goes that current human, like human beings, uh, Homo sapiens are a different species than Neanderthals, but we're all derived from Neanderthals. Like, we're that Neanderthals was the only beings that lived like that. There was animals and other beings, but there was no other like humanoid type beings other than Neanderthals at one time. So we all derive from that. And then how far does our history go back? Our history goes back into an infinity behind that. So what's behind that? How long, what was before Neanderthals, and all that. So I don't think, that the idea that consciousness just kind of come in between, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. I don't think that's correct, because there's proof that consciousness was present back then.
That's heavy. That's deep. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I do agree with the fact that we've probably been around as a species. I don't know about here on this planet, but I think the human beings probably have been around for a million years. I don't know about multi-million years. Just the only reason why I even say that is that it's just the time frame for Egypt just seems so short. You have to, when it comes down to science, you have to, if you're going to not do research on your own, you're kind of just going to look at science as at take it at face value. Carbon dating, you have to trust that, and they say 3,000 years, something like that. Just doesn't seem logical to me. It just seems like we've been here way longer than science says. I don't know if I could say millions of years, but it definitely feels like longer than what science is trying to say we've been here. And once again, I don't think that we're the original inhabitants of this planet. I think that inner urge that humans have to leave this planet now, the same urge that we have, almost instinctual, like we're grabbing for the sky. We've always been looking at the sky. We've been wondering what's out there and how to get there. And I feel like if we were to pop up on another planet, in that version of human beings started at base level, I think that version of human beings would also strive to get to the skies as well. I just feel like we maybe were, what do you call that, nomad, like a nomad species, that over generation, maybe we have been here millions and millions of years, and we've just done this planet thing so many different times that likely opens up the possibility that some of the things that we do see coming here maybe are humans, and maybe we've done this planet to planet hopping and moving and migration over millions and maybe billions of years, and maybe we'll find that there are a lot of planets with human origins on them out there when we uncover the true story. And that's just something I've been thinking about lately, since we've had some of these ancient civilization talks in the last few weeks. And just imagine that would be pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's that there's a lot coming out. I think, just like with these findings, like the time frame of scientific, like hardcore evidence of our existence keeps going back and back and back and back and back. I mean, and eventually I think we're going to find out it goes a lot farther back. where's are we different? Like, did we derive from Neanderthals, or did we derive from the stars, or are we a mix? Did star people come down and interact with Neanderthals and make a new race? Like, there was a post come out that had me thinking, like, where scientists believe that we're about to start another phase and actually be considered a different race of humanity, like a different phase of humanity. There's been proof that some children and these new generations are being there's a start um of new organs that are being manifested inside the human body. And it's starting with these generations that are coming out now, and they project that within the next couple generations there's going to be a whole nother organ that's going to be in the human body that wasn't present, like in our body, basically. So, and that's kind of hard to wrap our head around, but like also have to wrap our head around, like, we are evolving, and we have to take away our boundaries of thought, and things like the Sundance and these other sacred ceremonies, they will teach you these things. They will teach you these things in a way that you can't you can't you can't find in a book. You have to learn through experience. And it's not a theory at that point. It's because it's you experience that infiniteness.
Yeah. So the way I look at it is, I don't know, because when we talk about evolution, there's definitely evidence of evolution. But as if we are not from here, like, do we fall into the whole everything around us? Like, we see things that have been here, that we assume have been here for all this time. We can kind of show through the record evolution. But when we show, human beings, unless we do connect ourselves to Neanderthals, then there really doesn't seem to be a lot of evolution in human beings going back to, like, the earliest fossils or bones, you call them fossils, the earliest remains that have been found. There's like slight variation if you want to argue about it, but unless we were connected to Neanderthal, I don't really see like a huge change in what human beings have been. It just makes me, and I always feel like, with different things that we end up talking about, that for some reason we don't connect with this planet. Like, this isn't ours. Like, we don't belong here to this planet. And I don't know, it's just the way that I feel about it. And there are reasons why, but we won't know the answers until, shoot, I don't know. We may or never know the answers. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think we're all hybrids, in the sense that we're part of this earth. Like, our physical bodies, like, are part of this water, which is part of the earth, and the chemical components and everything else that makes up the calcium, and everything else that makes up our bodies is connected to the earth. But we're also connected to this universal consciousness that permeates and through all of creation, all of the through all of earth, through all the universe, through all planets. And that's what I truly believe. So that's where I think the pull between wanting to leave and feeling like you want to be off this planet, or being pulled on this planet, I think that's the balance that we need to come to, is finding the bliss in each and every current moment, because we're standing at the threshold of those two existences. We're all hybrids in that sense. Like, we all talk about, like, we have different connections to Palladians or Greys or this, that, and the other. ultimately we're all really hybrids because we're a balance between a earth child, because we're operating in this body, but we're also a star child too, in the sense that we're connected to uh, this universal consciousness.
Yeah. That's a great place to end it too, Drew. Awesome stuff tonight, man. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up. Definitely want to appreciate our guest, Nikki Zephier, for coming in. Appreciate you, Drew, for making the connection as well and coming with the After Hours wrap up. And we will be talking again soon. Anything you want to leave everyone with?
No, I think the simple message is just what Nikki's message was just be in the heart, and the real work is inside, and start there, and then everything else permeates out from there, but balance your heart and love yourself and love your family, and just let that keep expanding out until eventually you start helping others. So appreciate everybody. I see everybody. Appreciate you, Rob, and everybody in the chat. And see you next weekend.
Yes, sir. Let's do it again. Awesome show next week. See you then, Drew. Take care, bro.
Later.
All right. All right. Drew Bankey with the After Hours wrap up, guys. We're going to jump right in, trying to squeeze a story or two in with the UFO and weird news of the week. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. But I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right. UFO and weird news of the week. We have a couple stories. Let's see if we can get through at least one of these. We have archaeologists think they found a 3,200-year-old mysterious stone circle that inspired Stonehenge. Dating back thousands of years, the inspiration for Stonehenge may have finally been located, scientists said. A stone circle dating back more than 3,000 years could be the answer to Stonehenge's mysteries. Well, some of them. Built over thousands of years, the Stonehenge site in Wiltshire, England, is one of the great mysteries of the United Kingdom's rich history. With stones arranged in a ring pattern reaching 13 feet into the sky, it's home to freestanding triathons, which is where you have two vertical stones with the horizontal one more across to the two, that has lasted since first being constructed back in 3100 BC. That's more than 5,100 years ago, with the stones weighing between 3 and 30 tons. Suspected to be linked to the summer solstice and winter solstice, the ruinous monument is aligned to sunrise and sunset during both these annual events. Now, a recent archaeological study has revealed that a different ancient monument near Dorchester could be linked to the Stonehenge site, which lies 50 miles away to the northwest of the Dorset site. The new research has been published in the Antiquity Journal by researchers from the University of Exeter and Historic England, with the findings paving a new path when it comes to the evolution of monumental architecture in Neolithic Britain. Located near Dorchester, the site in question dates back to 3200 BC, making it older than the Wiltshire site we all know. Known as flagstones, it is the earliest known circular enclosure found anywhere in Great Britain. If it is 200 years older than first thought, thanks to advanced radiocarbon analysis of some of the finds discovered there, including human remains, red deer antlers, and charcoal. And the analysis suggests that flagstones may have served as a prototype for later monuments like Stonehenge. Dr. Susan Grenay, a specialist in Neolithic and Bronze Age monuments in Exeter's Department of Archaeology and History, said, "Flagstones is an unusual monument, a perfectly circular ditched enclosure with burials and cremations associated with it. Quote, in some respects, it looks like monuments that come earlier which we call causewayed enclosures, and in others, it looks a bit like things that come later that we call hinges. But we didn't know where it sat between these types of monuments, and the revised chronology places it in an earlier period than we expected. The flagstone's site was first found back in the 1980s during the construction of the Dorchester bypass. Upon excavation, it was found to be formed of a 100-meter diameter circular ditch made of intersecting pits. Fast forward to today, and half the site remains hidden beneath the bypass. Dr. Renee added, the chronology of flagstones is essential for understanding the changing sequence of ceremonial and funeral monuments in Britain. The sister monument to flagstones is Stonehenge, whose first phase is almost identical, but it dates around 2900 BC. Could Stonehenge have been a copy of flagstones? Or do these findings suggest our current dating of Stonehenge might need revision? The flagstone site also resembles one in Wales called Llandegai Henge in Gwynedd. Llandegai Henge in Gwynedd. It comes after a 4,000-year-old Stonehenge-like site was discovered in Denmark under a housing estate, with experts now thinking it showed extraordinary cultural links that spanned Europe thousands of years ago. Vestjemmerland's museum curator, Sidsel Wanlin, who was behind the discovery, said, building monuments on this scale, you need to understand why and how. If a British person from the time would have come to the site, they would have known what they are doing in there. So, that being said, that is UFO and weird news for tonight. I did also want to say one other thing. I read a story about they're still doing these weird stories where they talked about when the astronauts were stranded on the space station, stranded when SpaceX had to come pick them up after like 6 months of being in space. And they said the story was like an alien was aboard the International Space Station. Then you go ahead and look at it, and the story was simply about, obviously, one of the people on board of the space station decided to dress up as an alien and kind of float around the International Space Station. So once again, they're still making light of the subject, even though I think people who spend enough time on the International Space Station probably know better than anyone else that there are definitely things out there that we should be concerned about. And with that being said, we want to thank our guest for tonight. We want to thank Nikki Zephier. We want to thank her for coming in and sharing her story and her father's experiences. That was awesome. We want to thank Steve Stockton Tales and Told Missing Person Mysteries for being awesome each and every weekend that we do this here. We also want to thank Drew Banky with the After Hours Wrap Up. And we also want to thank that guy right there, Ron Bumblefoot. He's the guy that rocks us in and out of each and every weekend. As he says, he teaches us never say never again. The reason why is because the phenomena is real, which means anything and everything is possible. If you love the conversation tonight, if you love the show, show your love by throwing your horns up, right? Also, we want to thank our viewers and listeners from whenever and wherever in the world you may be listening from. We appreciate you tuning your frequency once again to spacedoutradio.com, where we do what we do best. What is that, you ask? We own the night. We own the night. The show has been copyright SOR Media Ventures Limited, Spaced Out Radio. Once again, it has been a pleasure serving you as your host. I'm Mr. Rob G. This is the After Hours Radio Show. And to all you space travelers out there, this isn't a goodbye nor a farewell. However, you can best believe as we go off air for the night, we will be back here, same time, same place, doing the exact same thing with you. One love, take care, have a great week, and we will see you next time. All right. Awesome stuff. Awesome show, guys. Definitely want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. I guess I can stick around for a second while I go ahead and make sure the show publishes, guys. Usually I'm right up out of here right after the show, but let me go ahead and do this real quick. Actually, move this out the way here. We're gonna have an awesome week next week as well. So definitely make sure you guys come and check it out. I know most of you, this is part of your schedule. Some of you are new, and I just want to make sure that you know, if you like the show, if you like what we're doing here, please consider hitting the notification bell and coming back to have the conversation with us, because we appreciate it. And as you see, everyone out there in the chat, great group of people, knowledgeable people as well. They ask all the right questions and treat each other with respect, which is one of the biggest things. Where do you get that at in this field, in this community? Not many places. Not many places. I've been to other shows. You don't get that. So, you know, we would love to see you guys all come back here. Also, go check out my page, Social Dig. It's youtube.com/ at Mr. Rob G, just the way it's spelled right here on the screen. At Mr. Rob G, we do some really cool stuff over there too. We have some really cool conversations, and I'd love to have you guys over there. Sometimes the conversations get real, you know, and but you got to have those if you're going to move the needle. So please consider doing that. youtube.com/ at Mr. Rob G. That would be awesome for you to do. And we are about to wrap this thing up here in just a moment. I'm one of those one finger typers, right? Two finger typers, which, yeah, but I can surprisingly type pretty fast with two fingers, you know, so, but I am one of those two finger tick, 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 tick. I can do it the other way. Just, I make mistakes. Like I've tried to do it without looking. I can type and look at the camera like this, but I'm always worried about making mistakes. Okay. All right, guys. Oh, and Deb from Sacramento. I saw you earlier. I know I didn't get a chance to say hey. Also, Kira, hey out there. Definitely want to say hello to everyone and also have a chance to say good night. Let me see who Dave has on Monday. Let me see. Spaced Out Radio. All right, looks like old Davy Boy. Old Davy Boy has on. It's tomorrow. It's the 16th. Yeah, so he has on Dr. Joan of Angels. I want to make sure I can't read that. Dr. Joan of Angels, I believe, is who he has on. Yeah, Dr. Joan of Angels, Shaping Your Spiritual Destiny. So make sure you guys are here for that tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific until midnight. Outside of that, guys, I am actually out of here. I'm in the office and I have to drive across town home to home. So you guys have a great rest of your night as I get ready to close the studio down, and I will see you guys next time. As always, we want retribution. That's how we end the show. For everybody that's new, that just so you know why we play this. I know I was asked recently about that, carrying in the Wu Train. And yeah, it's awesome. So you guys have a great rest of your night. See you next time. Take care.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.